The Amapiano giant himself is back. The self-proclaimed King of Amapiano, Kabza De Small, is back with his latest album, Bab'Motha. Welcome to the Music Corner. This is TMC Guy. I'm here with Rossi, about to drop a review for this album. I know a little late with this album, but please forgive us. Better late than never, I guess. But yeah, before we get into this review, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share the video, all that. Please help us grow the channel and help us get to 100 subs. So yeah. Quick background. Bob Mota was released on the 18th of July, 2025 on Nelson Mandela Day here in South Africa via Kabza De Small's label Piano Hub in partnership with Sony Music Africa. In terms of style, Bob Mota pushes the evolution of Amapiano, blending its spiritual and soulful roots with newer textures, heavier bass lines, layered synths, and more adventurous production. The album doesn't forget tradition, but also shows that the genre is expanding. But Mota seems to be a more personal, spiritually resonant effort. The artwork, for example, reflects African spiritual symbolism, water as being sacred and ancestral connections. But yeah, Rossi, what were your first impressions? Or what were your first thoughts on this album? I think this might be the first full Amapiano album you've ever listened to.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm not really I'm a piano person to begin with, but a pretty interesting listen to say the least. And I tried to take this in a different approach as how I normally listen to albums. I took it towards a similar approach of how I normally listen to dance albums, like a K-Tronado joint or something like that, because it is towards a similar context with it being a dance album overall. Yeah, it's a pretty decent album, even though I'm not too big of a fan of the genre. Just give me a bit of liquor and you'll find me dancing somewhere. But nonetheless, still a great listen. I really do like the vibe that Kabza does bring because it's not like heavy basses all the time or something that you normally hear at clubs or whatnot. There's a bit of pacing when it comes towards these albums, which lets it breathe really, really good. Something very similar to or some like a K Tronado where he would put a couple of interludes in his songs to give breathers to some hard hitting tracks that he does normally bring. So a pretty decent surprise, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, pretty good album. I can't wait to give more of my thoughts here as we do break down the album in full. But what were your first impressions, TMC guy?
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting thing because like with me, like yeah, I'm actually like ahead of you when it comes to Amapiano albums, I guess, because I guess this is my second Amapiano album listen. I'm also not too, big on the genre, I guess. I don't hate it. It's just like I keep Amapiano songs here and there that I like, but I've never been like, yeah, let me listen to a full album and stuff. Because whenever I check them and stuff and I want to get into the genre, it always turns out that the album would take me like 6 days or something to finish because they're like hella long for some really, really wild reason. But yeah, without further
True.
ado, my first impressions, I'm not even gonna lie, dude. I enjoyed this album a lot more than I thought I would. Like I found myself bobbing my head throughout my entire listen, actually, like, and I absolutely love the singing. Yo, like I love the singing. Like this album is sung so beautifully. I think I've actually been sleeping on South African singers. Actually, I thought they all did an amazing job at grabbing and holding attention, and especially at evoking emotion too. Like I just felt each and every one of their lyrics like so deeply, like just wanted to pack up my shit up and go back to my homelands or something. That's just how good I thought they were at their singing. But yeah, those are my first impressions. Let's just get into our analysis right quick. Now Rossi, I know your Zulu isn't very good, so I can help with the bulk of the lyrical analysis, I guess. So I guess maybe I can start. So the album opens with Kabza Chan 2.0, which serves mainly as just a praise song essentially for Kabza De Small, with the Kubuka Kabza De Small Chan dominating the song. It was really just a spiritual sort of celebration and admiration of the Amapiano giant. The production of the track I wasn't too crazy about, to be honest. It felt very bare to me. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, it doesn't make me want to dance or anything. And I get that it's supposed to be a praise song, so I guess it kind of makes sense. But what I'm trying to say is you like you shouldn't go into that song for the production essentially. Like the lyrics are the main standout of that song. Nobuhle lends her singing talents to this track and does a pretty stellar job. She has a real attention grabbing voice, in my opinion. She had me hung on her every word really. But overall, lyrically, this album is quite spiritual. Kabza and the singing features on here. There's many songs that just sound like prayers or ancestral appreciation, giving thanks, seeking guidance and protection. He thanks his family and friends and appreciates his roots and his home. And the album artwork also reinforces this with symbolism like such as water, used for purification, renewal, passage between worlds, and such. I mean, talking about appreciation and spirituality, there's an interesting gospel-inspired song here called Siyabonga. They even have a lyric on here where they say, "Noma ngihamba ezgodweni sithunzi lokufa angisabi lutho," which is Zulu for "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." So yeah, you get some pretty deep religious and spiritual themes on many of the songs here. Even on the songs ending, they're just praying to a higher power for money and riches, essentially. And he also talks about the challenges he's faced and how perseverance, faith, family, and roots have helped him arise. Issues like imposter syndrome, relationships, or romantic or familial emotional trauma, and the responsibility that comes with success are also explored in this album. There are a few songs here and there about love and relationships, such as the song Izimbali, and another special shout out to Z Malo and Nobuhle for their breathtaking singing on on Umakujabule Wena. Definitely has the best chorus on the entire album, in my opinion. So yeah, it's a very spiritual album and it's sung so beautifully too. Nobuhle, Nkosazana Daughter, Nondokozo, Mkize, Mahu, and all the other singers here do such an amazing job. The singing can be quite emotional and they just make me feel like going home, dude. Like, yo, I just feel like packing my shit up and just going, taking a road trip down to Eastern Cape or something to visit my family. The singing has such a nostalgic feel to it too. It has a really strong Zulu African feel to it as well. I feel like just switching up and speaking Vernac for the rest of this review. In fact, even the singing could be my favorite thing about the album. Yeah, the singing could be my absolute favorite thing about the album, and the lyrical content. But yeah, let's hear it from you, Rossi. Like, uh, I'm guessing you might have like had a little bit of trouble with the lyrics since it is Zulu and everything. But
Yeah.
yeah, I obviously understood them.
Yeah.
Just yeah, just want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, no, definitely. The lyrical content is something that I am not going to go deep into because I do struggle with a lot of the South African languages, despite being Tswana myself. But nonetheless, it doesn't take away from what the album is. And doing a bit of research on the album, I also came towards an understanding that this album does provide that more spiritual feel, and it also speaks from the production in itself when you do listen towards the album. I'm not going to lie on that factor. And there are some standout songs that I did really enjoy, like you mentioned, Siyabonga, which is this heavenly anthem that Kabza does normally create, layered with vocals and subtle percussion, creating a sort of like a how can I put this word, a meditative gaze, in a sense that you can sort of trance yourself into, which I really did enjoy on that regard. I also did like Utando, the song Utando, which has this romantic slow burner exploding with love and gratitude, and it feels like it is beautifully restrained towards what it does normally provide. Overall, I can't, like I said, I can't really speak much towards the lyrical content of the album, given that I understand like 10% of the album in that sense. I'm just really glad that the album itself spoke to me, with more than just words in that regard. And when albums tend to do that, it means that there is something special that we have on our hands. Because if I'm feeling that, imagine someone like you or someone who is fluent in Zulu, hearing this album and feeling that effect, which is pretty strong. I think Kabza De Small made something really great here. I can't really judge from the previous work that he has done. I've heard, some things on the side, but regardless of all that, I really did enjoy how the album presented itself with this more celebrative sort of vibe, celebrating the meaning of life, the meaning of the culture that he represents,
Don't
the African culture as a whole. Just everything around that range is something that he brings into the forefront, which a lot of South African artists do, and it's something that is not really to it's not really paid attention towards a lot of first world countries per se, because these artists are recognized towards these first world countries, but because of that language barrier, I think there is a lot of constraints. But me being South African, at least I still have that spirituality for me to understand what is going on in that factor. But just to summarize in terms of what I think about, the lyrical content, from what I could research, a lot of prayer verses, a lot of Bible influences that are going towards this album here, which is really great. It's something that I haven't really experienced besides listening to gospel at a whole. And this sort of feels like a gospel album, a fusion of gospel and Amapiano in that regard. But it makes sense why Kabza De Small has been the Amapiano heavyweight for such a significant amount of time. And I don't think he's slowing down with the release of this new album. So, yeah. I think that's my thoughts on that regard. We can move on to the next segment. I think it's production, or what did you want to implore onto?
Yeah, yeah, the production analysis. So yeah, the production, I guess, I don't feel like he's breaking new ground when it comes to Amapiano, especially like since I guess from the Amapiano songs that I've listened to, it doesn't sound too like he's like reinventing the wheel or anything, but you do get the usual Amapiano drums. I'm sure, and I'm sure you're familiar with like the Amapiano drums that I'm talking about. You
Yeah.
get them on songs like Abalozi and Nyozama, but there's just enough flavor added to some tracks to help them stand out. And overall, it's a pretty well produced album. It's filled with heavy African staple instruments, including shakers, that signature deep percussive bass lines, characteristic of Amapiano, subtle hi hats, pianos, of course, and of course, drumming instrument elements. And yeah, the first track is the first track is though. But from track two onwards, the production is really really good. There's an interesting electronic synth element used in the song Abalos, and a strumming instrument riff that'll just get stuck in your head. Abalosi's instrumental is rich with log drums, deep 808 style bass, and subtle cymbals. I just love the production on that track, and quite frankly, now I'm taking the song all the way to December with me. Like that song, Abalosi, like it goes hard. I'm not even gonna lie. Eningi remix also has amazing production. I love the vocal layering and harmonizing on there. The track features a star-studded lineup, including Angelic, GLCJ, Mtunzi, M Keys, and Simi, whose harmonies and melodies added depth and emotion to the song. Not too crazy about the production on Is Tombe though, but that's one of the few lowlights of the album. But it's followed up by the amazing saxophone and piano bass instrumental of the interlude track. That track is so good, dude. Like, yo, they even add a nice electric guitar in there too. It's an amazing instrumental mixture. All the instruments fire on all cylinders on that interlude track. Ipupo is another production beast. Fellow Amapiano heavyweight Calvin Momo co-produces the track. There's some nice dreamy pads and pianos on there, and steady kick drums on there that I thought sounded pretty clean. But even the back end of the album has great production, such as that spacey, manipulated vocal sample on Izimbali, the subdued and understated synth, saxophone, and bass guitar based instrumental of Imali Yami as well. And yeah, that crazy good guitar solo at the end of Uma Kuchabula Wena is a standout as well. And Amandla and Amakosi, while not being the best tracks on the album, are still pretty decent enough closing tracks. But yeah, that's all I gotta say when it comes to the production. What about you, Rossi?
Yeah, yeah. The production is really good. Like I said, that's like the most thing that stood out to me in that regard because it spoke to me in a much deeper level. The bass lines are incredible. Multi-layered synths and percussions that pulse like a heartbeat. I mean, he weaves in this three-step style and quieter notes without losing that piano core, which makes it feel very rooted towards what he's bringing in terms of the production style. Um, yeah, it's very versatile, that he can range his production the way he does, despite, this being an Amapiano album. Like he said, he's not really breaking anything in terms of the genre here, anything groundbreaking in that regard. But I think he's refining it from the little that I've heard on this regard. It feels like a complete Amapiano album, as opposed towards, other songs where it's a lot more party heavy and whatnot. I think it's just the motion of how the theme of how this album flows that makes the production shine a lot more, where even the features that are presented within the album basically shine because of the production and that factor. I think the album is overall just harmonized through this production, and I think that's the core correlation towards what my impressions are towards it. I think it's the highest standard that I can think of when it comes to Amapiano as a whole on this regard. And I hold high gratitude, and I felt like I've been sleeping, for a little bit, given that if this is the style that a lot of Amapiano artists have within the country, I think I've been sleeping on the genre. I'm not going to lie to you on that regard. But yeah, this album is definitely a win for the genre in itself. It like I said, it doesn't really reinvent the wheel, doesn't really make anything too hectic, but I think it refines what it initially is, which makes it a pretty fantastic album in my opinion. But nonetheless, we can go over towards our next pointer. TMC guy, take it away.
Okay, so yeah, next up we got our pros and cons. So yeah, my pros are I really love the spiritual, homely, reflective, and familial or ancestral appreciative lyrics, and it has some of the best and most emotionally evoking singing you'll hear all year from like any country, quite frankly. And I really love the amazing signature Amapiano production as well. And I really love the strong Zulu and African identity throughout. You just feel how proud the artists are on this are of their culture. And the cons, yeah, the intro track, as I keep mentioning, and Tombe holds the momentum of an otherwise decently consistent track list. And as with many Amapiano albums, this thing is quite long, like long intros of the songs, many songs which are all overall a little long as well in length. And it can be a slog at times to get through, like, but at least it's an enjoyable listen mostly. But yeah, those will be my only cons. But what about you, Rossi? What are your pros and cons?
Yeah. In terms of my pros, the album is deeply layered and emotionally expansive. It provides a traditional or a spiritual triumph uh, demand for the full listen that it does normally provide. The production is the best thing in terms of what the album brings. I think the worst thing, which is basically a nitpick for me, is the understanding of the album. I think it's not something that a lot of people outside the country, of course, will get. With us trying to build an audience there, I think maybe integrating a bit of English. I'm probably gonna get hate for this, but maybe integrating a little bit of English for the world to at least not understand the album as a whole, but for at least for them to relate in that aspect, because I think I have the perspective from their side. But I don't want to sort of, like I say, make it as a con in itself. It's just a nitpick for me, since I do have a language barrier struggle that I am facing. But nonetheless, since I am heavily speaking about the production in terms of the album, I don't think that there are any misses in this regard. And even though it is quite a long album, it's very chill for how long it is. It's not bass bumping through my speakers through and through that's killing the vibe in that aspect. It's not like I'm listening to club song after club song after club song after. It doesn't feel that way at all. Like I said, very similar towards a K Tronada in a sense where it's a lot more relaxed. There are some hard hitting productions and basses that he does throw in. I'm not going to point that. I'm not going to take away that. I'm just trying to elaborate that, hearing about Amapiano, I would normally, think, oh, okay, it's a loud song, it's club orientated. A lot of people want to get drunk to this type of song. Doesn't really feel like that with this album. It feels like a chill album that I can really listen to. I can definitely see myself listening to this more and more, and the genre as a whole. But yeah, in terms of my nitpicks, not really much to go on that. In terms of my praises, I've seen a lot of them already. Production is very clean, very polished. I'm gonna give it a thumbs up to Kabza De Small. He's done a really, really good job with putting my interest towards the genre. But yeah, we can, I think, go ahead towards our standout tracks. I think we did point some of them down already. If not, we can go ahead and give our ratings. TMC guy, take it away.
Okay, so let me just go over my standout tracks. There's quite a few here. So there's Nyozama, Abalozi, Siyabonga, Eningi, Lauleka, the interlude track, Ipupo, and Uma Kujabulewen. And what about you, Rossi? What are your standout tracks? Yeah, try not to butcher the names,
All
by the
right.
way, since Zulu.
Yeah, I was about to give the disclaimer. I do apologize if I do butcher the names here, but the Siyabonga is one of them. Iningi, that's one of them as
Yeah,
well.
Eningi.
Yeah. Siyabulela. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Utando, like I spoke to. Um, in Jabulo is also a great song as well. And yeah, I think those are the standout tracks that I do have available. Let's go ahead and let them let's go ahead and tell the fans here what we think in terms of our ratings. What are you gonna give this album?
Okay, so yeah, guys, Bab'Motha is an amazing album, way better than I expected. I see it moving people both emotionally and on the dance floor, and this album is one that could probably go hard at Konka or something. I don't know, wherever Amapiano's popular at. So I'm thoroughly impressed, and I'm giving this album a B plus. What about you, Rossi?
Yeah, Kabza De Small basically proves that he is the king of this genre. He gives a personal touch. It's very profound. And there's a lot of soul that he puts onto this album. And given this is my first real album exposed towards the genre, I'm actually gonna give this a minus for the genre here, for the album here. As a whole, I know it's very surprising, given that I don't even know the language all too well, but I really enjoyed the production, and I think that speaks highly towards what the album is in itself. It's speaking to me in that aspect. I really did enjoy it, and I'm gonna give this a minus for sure. But nonetheless, guys, let us know what you think of the album and our thoughts down below in the comments. We'd love to hear what you guys think. We really do appreciate the support that you've been giving us. We are seeing what you guys are saying. We're seeing the feedback, and we definitely got some more local content, not just hip hop and piano, a whole list of genres that we are ready to tackle over. And yeah, TMC guy, let's close this off.
Yeah, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the album. Give it a listen if you haven't. Please don't forget to like, comment, share the video, and of course, subscribe. Help us get to 100 subs. And this has been TMC Guy. This has been Rossi as well from the Music Corner. Wishing you all a very, very great day. Take care and peace out.
Peace out, guys. Stay safe.